Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California at approximately 6:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, and I am reading from Henning Morales's book, The Dirt Merchants, the Highwaymen edition of A True Story, a coming of age adventure, a triumph, a novel. The Dirt Merchants by Henning Morales. And we are on page 190 today. Uh, Today we are at Morsels of a Thought number 1661, which is the same read backwards and forward. Just like the word race car is a palindrome. Did you know that? Race car, spell it backward and forward. It spells the same way. Okay, we're on page 190. Allow me to sneeze. Allow me to sneeze. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, not sneezing. Okay. Not sneezing. Shoot. Okay. What do I know? Spencer said. Juice get fired up. They pulled off the Cross Bronx Expressway and stopped at a bridge in Dominican territory just before the George Washington Bridge. Teddy brought back 2 Cokes and 2 bags of Doritos. They each cracked a soda and toasted. Teddy popped in a dead tape and turned it up loud. All the right things had been coming out of his mouth in response to the negative tide that was looming. Spencer would never reveal his concerns. Jim had been coming into the office less and less over the last couple of weeks. The rumors that some of the offices had been struggling to keep their doors open were starting to bother him. Monahan, Kenny, and Gino, 3 guys that Spencer had worked with in the field, had been promoted into their own offices and were obviously struggling. In the past, when an office had weak production, Jim would send a team to that office to retrain the guys and get sales going. He was on top of it. It seemed that Jim was out every night, not just the weekends. He had also started treating people more and more harshly, even Rose, even Spencer. Always the loyal soldier. Excuse me, Spencer kept pushing as he always had. He figured that this was the test he needed to pass to prove that an 18-year-old could run a deal. He was convinced that Jim was staying away to see how Spencer would handle running the main office. He didn't need Jim to pamper or baby him. He could handle the chop busting even if the others couldn't. It really didn't faze him that his mentor, who hadn't missed a day in the field or in the office for 4 solid years, the guy that was always there early and stayed late, was absent. Cuddy and Spencer had been running things virtually full time in Lodi. As Spencer and Teddy pulled into the dusty gravel parking lot, they noticed that there were some extra cars in the parking lot they didn't recognize, including a huge off road truck of some kind. Kenny's new Eldorado was parked in Jim's spot. What are Kenny's guys doing here? Teddy asked. Doesn't matter, my man. All I know is that it means that it's super hot. His super hot secretary Tara is here. See you inside. Psych. Okay. All right. Spencer parked the van and ran to the front door. Tara was sitting opposite Rose at Rose's desk, settling people up. Tara was a stunning 18-year-old with jet black hair, a huge confident smile, and a perfect body. Spencer had seen her a week before when he'd worked with Kenny's for a day, helping him with his makeshift office in Terrytown. The guys at Kenny's office were fawning over her at Terrytown, and the fawning continued to a greater degree at the much larger office in Lodi. But Spencer had what these other guys didn't: history with Kenny and next in line for a promotion. He had already made sure that there was nothing going on between her and Kenny. "Hello, Miss Tara," Spencer said. "50 sales last night. Piece of cake. Teddy has the cash and paperwork. He's right behind me." He and some of the guys high-fived and did a quick cheer. They were a group of about 17 or 18, including a few of Kenny's pretty boys from Westchester, but Spencer paid them no mind. Tara smiled and said, "Great job, Spencer. Nice seeing you again." Kenny came walking out of the manager's office in street clothes with his chest puffed out real big. "Hey, Hitter, what's all the noise about? Did you get past single digits?" "Very funny, you big goober. We hit 50, hit our bets, and 20 cards in the card game. I have the wallet, baby." They high-fived each other. "Haven't seen you since the big day," Spencer said, smiling. "What big day?" Kenny responded with a sly smile. Now they had an audience. Spencer knew Tara was listening. Well, everyone in the company is talking about it. A month ago when we shattered your record, me and Crazy Timmy. That was fun, brother. Taking an insane dude like that and blowing your doors off." "Man, you got the record, that's true, but when Gino and I did it, we didn't have speakers and equalizers and bench grinders," Kenny said while prancing around with a big goofy smile. "We had only we only had like 8 different products." Spencer interrupted and said, "I respect you, bodybuilder dude, but that's a cockroach excuse. We worked pounded areas like Jackson Heights, Corona, and Deer Park. When you worked them, they were fresh. Not only that, I took Jimmy, who never hit 40 without me and never even hit warehouse manager. I took Timmy, sorry, who never hit 40 without me and never even hit warehouse manager." Then Spencer started pumping his fist and pointing his finger at Kenny and shouting, "Cockroach, cockroach." The other 20 or so guys joined in, "Cockroach, cockroach." Kenny, about 6'3" and 230 pounds, grabbed the 170-pound Spencer and playfully bear hugged him and put his hand over his mouth. So here we hand over mouth. Um, we are reading morsels of a thought, hopefully of wisdom. We are trying to get wisdom. The reason we want wisdom is that a form of wisdom is knowing the right things to do in your life. And then actually doing them is called an act of virtue. So if we get virtue, we get more better energy in the world. And that's what I want to do. Let's bring morsels of a thought of wisdom to this world to create more virtue. Okay? The other guys jumped in. Rose put the piles of cash aside, stood up, and demanded, "Stop horsing around in the lobby. If you want to wrestle, go into the pit." The whole place burst out laughing, including Kenny. Spencer and Teddy won the card game that day and got to bust Kenny's chops in front of his guys, Kenny's guys, and Tara. But Spencer was legitimately concerned by now. Jim was conspicuously absent. He had never missed the card game on Saturday morning. It was his favorite thing in the world. What was Kenny's crew doing at Jim's office? He couldn't ask what was going on. He was supposed to know what was going on. He was supposed to have the answers. Even Cuddy was coming to Spencer for answers. It seemed that just as Spencer was getting into high gear with respect around the office and steady, predictable production, things were headed in the wrong direction. Jim's office was still making good money, even in his absence, but things were definitely, mysteriously not right. He waited until everyone began clearing out to pull Rose aside and asked, "Where's Jim?" "He said he couldn't make it this morning. Slept in," she responded, seemingly not bothered by any of this. "Oh, and I almost forgot. Give me the keys to the van. He wants you to take the Jeep." "What Jeep?" asked Spencer. "The racing Jeep. Didn't you see it in the back? Jim has been entering these four-wheel drive races for fun and bought this monster Jeep. He wants you to take it. He said he would call you and tell you what to do with it." Spencer managed a smile and tried not to look too puzzled. He looked out the window and noticed that Tara was getting in her car. He grabbed the Jeep keys and ran outside. By the time he got outside, she'd started up her 1979 Monte Carlo. Spencer signaled to roll down the window. He ran up to the window. She smiled and obliged. Man, she is pretty. She's just a chick. Be cool. Hey, I need a favor. See that monster truck over there? Asked Spencer. She looked over to the sparkling blue Jeep Wrangler lifted 11 feet off the ground. It was covered with sponsor decals and had James Gang Racing Team scribbled on it. The off-road tires wrapped around the huge, bright chrome wheels were 5 feet tall. She nodded. Well, I just found out that that's my ride, at least for the next few days. I have an errand to run in the city on Tuesday. I obviously can't take that beast. Can you give me a lift and we can grab a bite to eat after? Tara looked at him, smiled, and said, Yes, Spencer, I can do that. I'll pick you up here on Tuesday. I get off at 6. The following Monday morning, the office was humming and bustling with activity. Jim was in the office on time that day, spotlessly scrubbed, with a flawless suit and a tight tie. Spencer was dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, ready to retrain. What the hell, Jim? What happened on Saturday? Why the hell was Kenny here? Doesn't he have his own office? It also looked like he was just coming in from an all-nighter. Is Kenny back in the field? The guys need to see you here, man. You only seem to make it in to pick up the banking bag. What have you been doing? And what is that truck you have me driving? I can't even hear the stereo. It's so loud. Everyone stares as I go down the street, as I go down the street, holding their ears. Every time I get out of it, people start conversations with me about monster truck rallies or whatever. I can't even see the other cars. Is that thing even street legal? We can't use it for moving merch. I'm not complaining. I just want some answers. Jim didn't respond at first. Jim, I know you don't need to answer me, but just give me something. Who the hell am I to ask? But what's going on? Jim leaned forward and said, We're in a transition, man. We're going to expand even further than I thought. We can go as far north as New Hampshire and as far south as North Carolina. We have 13 offices now, and we have room for 30 offices. Where do you want to go? Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Boston? Spencer, a bit relieved but still cautious, replied, Now you're talking. In the meantime, bro, what's going on with Kenny and Gino? And I saw Donovan the other day at the surf and turf during the week. He is supposed to be in Connecticut. Oh man, those offices are fine. Let me see the run sheet and the results from Saturday. Okay, Spencer responded, a little bewildered. Jim was acting very polite, and the short, nonchalant answers threw him off a bit. Jim Page rose. Jim paged Rose to bring in the results from Friday and to call Cuddy. Rose came in with the paperwork, and Cuddy came in as she was leaving. Cuddy and Spencer sat quietly while Jim stared at the paper. All of a sudden, Jim was livid. You and Teddy went out together and you had a quota of 35? You guys are too good to work together and leave these rooks riding together. This is totally unacceptable. It's a good thing for you that Rose already paid out on the card game. Otherwise, I would hold it. And what, Cuddy? You didn't even go out for an all-nighter? A quota of 20 for a Friday? You guys are here trying to give yourself low quotas, yourselves low quotas so you can squeak by? That's weak, man. Jim lit up a Newport in an attempt to calm down. Cuddy and Spencer looked at each other, totally puzzled. Cuddy jumped in. Lee and Timothy are not rooks, Jim, and they hit 32. I had a wedding in Philly Saturday morning, Jim. Remember? My brother's wedding? Also, we ran the lineup by you over the phone. This is your lineup. Jim looked furious as he glared at Spencer, who just nodded. Get out of my office, you fleas. Without a word, they both got out. They went into the manager's office for a private chat. What was that, man? Betty asked. Don't know, said Spencer solemnly. I never saw him do anything like that. There has to be something else going on. One minute he's asking me to pick my territory for my own deal. Next minute he blows up over a great day on Friday numbers wise. Doesn't make sense. The door to Jim's office suddenly slammed shut, and Jim screamed something at Rose as he left and got in his car, then took off. Cuddy and Spencer walked over to Rose with a puzzled look. She returned the look. Chapter 26. Now we are in Chapter 26, Savory Truffle, Tuesday, August 7th, of The Dirt Merchants, a novel by Henning Morales, the Highwaymen edition. We are looking at morsels of a thought. Hopefully, that we get wisdom. Wisdom is knowing the right thing to do, and actually doing it is called virtue. I have a very scratchy eye. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Savory Truffle, Chapter 26, Tuesday, August 7th. The next day, it was office training for Spencer. Oh, and by the way, knowing the right things to do includes knowing what pitfalls to avoid. Okay? The next day, Tuesday, August 7th, was office training for Spencer. So he showed up as usual at 8 a.m. in a suit, tie, and pressed shirt. In the morning, he signed off on the warehouse slips, did the run sheet, the sales meeting, and the poker game from Monday's results. At 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, he interviewed candidates. Rose lined them up, and Spencer knocked them down, setting up the new trainees for Wednesday and Thursday. By now, it was routine, but Jim's spirit was missing. After the last interview was complete and the interviewee was out of the parking lot, Spencer went over to Rosa's desk as she was preparing to leave for the day. No word since yesterday? Spencer asked. No word. And the messages from the other offices are piling up. They need product for this week's all-nighters. Shipments to each office are supposed to go out today, but Jim has to give the guys in Manhattan the go-ahead. The office owners are calling me. They're calling the guys in the city. The guys in the city are calling me. Big mess. The bigger offices like Graziano's in Passaic and Rodman's in Long Island can survive without the deliveries, but the smaller ones won't make it. You need to go over and see him. Funny that she didn't come up to him first, huh? Can't tonight. Rose, got a date. Plus, the ball is in his court. Totally got in my face and Cuddy's for no reason. His turn to make it right with us. Can you do it? I can see him in the morning, Spence. If he doesn't call tonight, I'll go over on my way in. You have a date? Good for you. You know I'm not going to be here tonight. Don't worry about it. Cuddy's coming back by 7 to settle the boys up. The 26-year-old secretary looked at the 18-year-old executive for a minute. All right, I guess, Rose said, sounding like a mom. See you in the morning. As Rose pulled out of the parking lot, Tara pulled in. Hot dog. Spencer grabbed the phone and dialed Brandon. Be ready, 30 minutes. Cool. Spencer jumped into the passenger seat of the Monte Carlo, gave Tara a peck on the cheek, and thanked her for being on time. She was wearing a dark gray skirt suit with a white silk blouse. We just need to make a stop off of Teaneck Road. Can you take Route 4? Spencer asked, straightening his tie. Sure, I haven't seen you in a suit before. You look nice. Tara said sweetly with a big smile. I look nice. You're as hot as Sharon and you're 18. I can actually do stuff with you. You have your own car and a job. You're quite possibly the most spectacular girl I've ever seen. And your positive attitude, you say, I look nice. Oh, this old thing? He said sarcastically. I got 20 more like it in my closet. Thanks, though. She smiled again. What's the stop we have to make? A friend of mine. We need to pick him up and drop him off in the city uptown. Then we can get some dinner. There's an Italian restaurant on 61st and 2nd. I know the owner. You like Italian, right? Of course. I'm Italian. How about you? Me too, mostly, he said, fumbling with the radio dial and trying not to act excited. The rest of me is Dominican. What do you got on the radio? Let me check your presets. What? Disco and pop? Oh man. Turn the car around. Drop me back off. He said it convincingly, as if he was really upset, but they both instantly knew he was joking and burst out laughing. They laughed and joked all the way to Teaneck. They pulled up opposite Tryon Park, and Brandon was waiting outside with a large cardboard box. Both of them were laughing hysterically. Spencer said, "Let me see your keys. I'll pop the trunk." "What's so funny?" Brandon asked. "Nothing, man. We're just messing around. This is Brandon. Brandon, Tara." Excuse me while I blow my nose. Um, so in in normal in normal in etiquette, when you introduce people, you say ma'am, sir, sir, ma'am. So you usually say the woman's name first, even though you're talking to the woman first. So he said, "Brandon, Tara, Tara, Brandon." So he's basically saying, "I hold Tara above you, Brandon." Don't know if they know that, but sometimes that's true. Anyway, she didn't ask what the box was or why they were transporting it to the city. She just said, "Pleased to meet you. Jump in." Brandon got into the back seat and they were off. Brandon jumped into the conversation as if the three of them had known each other their whole lives, mostly talking about all the hell Brandon and Spencer had raised in high school. They almost missed the exit. "Hey, girl, not so fast. Get off here," Brandon said, still smiling from the last joke. They got off the bridge exit at Washington Heights and proceeded down to Amsterdam. A shady looking guy around 25 was standing in front of the entrance to an apartment building, recognized Brandon, and waved. "Here's good," said Brandon. "Wait here," Spencer said, putting the car in park for her and grabbing the keys. Brandon Oh, he grabbed the keys. He grabbed the keys so that she wouldn't drive off, I guess. Brandon and Spencer got out, opened the trunk, and Brandon grabbed the box. They exchanged some words and shut the trunk. Brandon and the stranger went into the building, and Spencer got back into the car. "Okay, let's jump on the Harlem River Drive. This way." "Yes, sir," she said, saluting mockingly. "What about Brandon?" "Oh, don't worry about him. He'll get himself back." Spencer carefully watched her the entire time, and she didn't even flinch. She was definitely sharp enough to know that they were in a dangerous neighborhood with shady characters. It didn't bother her in the least. Spencer could also tell that she was impressed with him. They were both excited. They pulled off the FDR at 59th Street, parked, and went into Eduardo's restaurant together. Eduardo spelled with a U. Spencer was greeted as a long-lost friend by all the old paisanos in the place, and the owner came over and greeted them. The young couple ordered Eduardo's famous veal marsala and mussels in tomato gravy. They stared in each other's eyes and laughed and ate and laughed some more. They topped off their meal with sweet amaretto truffles. By the end of the evening, they were in a bona fide love affair. Ooh. Next chapter will be chapter 27, Slim Pickens. Pickens, Pickens. That'll be next week, Tuesday, September 4th, day after Labor Day. We're going to read this next um, on Sunday. Huh. Okay, I'm going to read you this part. Henning Morales is a creative capitalist, a philanthropist, a producer, a proud father, and an inspirational speaker. And this is his photo right here. Um, okay. It is definitely a page turner, says George Kassar, business performance coach, Dale Carnegie and Associates Incorporated. Greg Reed, who wrote who co-authored 3 Feet from Gold. This book will inspire the next generation of powerhouse thought leaders. I recommend it highly. Greg Reed says Greg Reed is from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Okay, so very relatable concepts for any person, especially young people striving for success. Loved it. By Andrew Keegan, actor, activist, and founder of Full Circle Spiritual Center. Okay, so here we are. I will see you tomorrow. And we always say goodbye with old Kinderhook's name because that's where we get okay from, okay? Old Kinderhook.